Okay, great. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is the Planning Committee meeting for Town Council. I'm Steve Tanner. I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. We normally make our meetings available to as many people as possible. Oh, that's me. Just wait for that to go. Here we go. Thank you. So yeah, we use a hybrid setup here in person in the Town Hall chamber and online via Zoom. Usual thing, housekeeping in the room, emergency exit, rear corner of the room and the assembly points, the car park, toilets access at the end of the corridor, accessible lift to the right of the, accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Any panelists on Zoom, please use your electronic raise hand by clicking on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. Any attendees on Zoom, please post questions through the Q&A board. Attendees' names will become visible on the questions board for the record as your question is answered. Tonight, Owen's going to clerk and Jane will manage the questions board, participant settings and the IT. The meeting will be recorded for minuting purposes and will also live stream to our YouTube channel. Any questions, comments, information from the public or councillors? No? Great. Item number 2 on the agenda, agree apologies of absence received. We've got Fiona and Philip, is that correct?
Received apologies from Fiona and Philip.
Right. Vote on those. Thanks, Andy.
And that's unanimous.
Thank you, Jane. Item number 4, agree the minutes of the meeting on the 30th of October, which I have before me. Any comments if anyone's read them? If not,
We did that.
oh no, didn't, sorry. Item number 3, any declarations of members' interest? It's the other way around. No? Right, if we could vote on that, I guess none. Yeah. Unanimous.
Yeah, you don't need to vote on that.
Or we just have.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's unanimous.
I was a vote on everything, you know. Right, now, item number 4, to agree the minutes of the meeting held on 30th of October. Any comments on that? If not, someone propose that for me. Thank you, Mark.
And that's unanimous as well.
And straight on to item number 5, which is the current planning. Oh, we've got a planning bulletin first. Oh.
Yeah, so just a brief update of what's been happening in the short period since the last planning meeting. We've had one appeal against refusal submitted by the applicant in relation to the courthouse King Street, which we previously offered no objection to, but the application was refused. And appeals against another appeal against a refusal which has been allowed, which was relating to the energy storage facility in Styles Close, and also a TPO felling approval for the copper beech tree at the beeches at West End, which there's been some interested in, and the officer concluded that the risk of harm was unacceptable due to structural decay. So just a little update of some key ones that have come through since then.
Sorry, Owen, just before you leave that page, there were a couple of comments I was going to make. The first was the energy storage facility. I was surprised to note that a positive factor in that was that there's a fire hydrant within 90 metres of the site, though God knows what you meant to do with a fire hydrant if you got lithium batteries on fire. Yeah, absolutely. And that the loss of that copper beech, they seem to be suggesting, could be mitigated by planting another tree. I'd assume that tree doesn't automatically inherit the TPO of the preceding one. It'll just be a 2-year-old sapling that dies in 6 months' time.
Yeah, I don't think they were saying it would be mitigated exactly. I think the basis for the approval of the felling was was because of the officer visited the site and noted further fruiting bodies on the tree since the report was made 2 years ago, and that report two years ago recommended felling within 3 years. So the officer determined that on that basis they were acting in accordance with that report. it's a shame because it's a nice tree.
Just whilst we're on appeals and things, I'm guessing there is no grounding yet on the Pack Saddle site, and I also assume we haven't heard on Selwood Garden.
No, I've heard no updates on Pack Saddle and whether or not they're going to take that to judicial review, and nothing at all on Selwood Garden Community. But I'm sure as soon as there is a decision, we will know all about it.
Thank you.
Okay, just in terms of decisions over the last 3 weeks, there have been a number of approvals that you can see on there. I don't know if anyone wants to pick any up that are in their ward or any catch their eye, but those ones on that page there are in accordance with our comments, the decision anyway. There's a few down the bottom of this page, in particular the flat 2 on Bath Street, which was the top floor dormer sash windows on the 3rd floor flat. We offered no objection to that on the basis, partly at least, that they were largely out of view, but the conservation officer refused on the basis that they didn't provide enough information in terms of a heritage statement impact.
Fair enough.
And first floor extension to annex at 24 The Butts.
Yep.
That was refused, that application was refused, and we objected to that. So there we go.
So we're generally in agreement, or Somerset are in agreement with us, whichever way you want to do it, on pretty much everything apart from the from the sash windows, really.
Yep, basically.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. That sash windows one, it was a strange decision because it was on the basis that they hadn't submitted a heritage statement. So it may have been that the officer requested a heritage statement and didn't get one and refused it on that basis. Had they had a heritage statement, I can't see that the heritage impact would have been so significant that they would have refused it. But nonetheless, it got refused.
Okay, we'll keep an eye for that one. Thank you. Great. Item number 6, to consider major plan applications received. Over to Owen, I think, tonight.
Yeah. So 23 applications during this period. You can see a breakdown there of the different types in the different wards. Quite a few works and felling in trees and conservation areas on the list. Some of which were commented on prior to this meeting. Not commented on, but they'll be, decided by delegated, assuming you vote for it tonight. Yeah. Few householder applications and one TPO works, which we'll go through shortly. Okay, first item, FTC agenda number 806 was 1 Regency Walk, Weymouth Road. This was a tree protection order, works to reduce top and sides of canopy by 2 meters and install a dynamic brace. This was put on mainly because it's TPO tree and because people may have a comment on it. Works are for ongoing management. I think we've seen this one come through before, and to prevent nuisance to neighbouring properties.
You speaking. Any comments, anybody? No? Yeah. Happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Objection, I think.
Okay, no objection, that was, yeah, okay. I didn't see Mr. Dorrington vote. Thank you, that's unanimous.
Great, thank you, Owen.
Okay, item number 807, number 10, Culverhill. This is felling of trees in a conservation area, trees 1 to 6 and 7 to 8 at 10 Culverhill. These, I would say, part of the reason for felling was to improve access to the property. It's a kind of open space in behind the houses there that previously actually had an application in for housing. We haven't seen any further applications for development on that site. Sorry, they were with those applications were actually withdrawn.
Is that the application behind the laundrette? No. Right, that's a different one, is it? Right.
So, yeah, we just put this in there because it had potentially significant effect on the street scene from the road there. There is a question we've asked the planning officer about it. There's a similar application some time ago, which for some reason didn't come before the committee, which was approved, but it seems to have come through again for some reason. But we've queried that with them. But yeah.
So are they saying these were originally planted to be a hedge, and they've just been allowed to do that? Yeah. Wow.
No, not as far as up as that. Yeah.
Okay. Jane.
Thank you. Just for, as a reminder, so this is an application to fell trees that are in a conservation area. So the determination that the tree officer will make or look at is, are these trees worthy of a tree preservation order? As Owen's already said, as a group of trees, they do have street amenity. If they go, it will have an impact on the street scene. But it's just really a reminder about the process. So what the tree officer will be looking at is whether or not these trees should be TPO'd. So in our consideration, we might want to think to ourselves, do we want to protect those trees by asking for a tree preservation order to go on there? It doesn't mean that will happen. That will still be the judgment of the tree officer. But that's what we're considering.
I was just going to say, so rather than felling it, can any work be done to take it back?
It could be, but as Owen said, it appears that the reason that they want to fell them is in the picture there. You can see that there's a gate or an access, and it seems that those trees are actually blocking that access. So there is something that could be done, but that doesn't appear to be the applicant's intention.
I guess the cypress are probably no great loss. They shoot up like weeds anyway. It's a shame to lose some cedars. Be nice to see if they could be re-engineered.
I'm not an whatever it's called, expert on trees. But the Leylandii, once you prune them, they don't come back, do they? They just stay brown from memory. So I think.
It depends how hard you prune them.
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah. The red cedar, yeah.
I guess we'd be guided by the officer, have a look at them, see if there's professionally anything that.
The previous one was approved, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be approved as well. I mean, firstly, I think we should comment that it's a shame to lose the red cedar. We'd like to be it replaced, but apart from that, we've got no objection. That would be mine.
Yeah, go with that.
Fair enough.
Okay, so you would prefer to see the red cedar retained,
Yeah.
and no objection to the felling of the cypress trees?
And if it can't be retained, it should be replaced with a suitable tree that can be pruned and kept in some sensible, but
Kept in check.
that is not a hedge, is it? So, is that okay?
Yep,
Yeah?
yep.
So I'll propose that.
And that's unanimous. Thank you.
It is, yeah, it's that season, isn't it? Season for trees.
Okay, next agenda point is 812, site south of 86 Rodden Road, Somerset. This was a site we've had two previous applications in 2016, one for a two-bedroom development and one for a later one for a one-bedroom. I think both were refused. You can see location of the site there, and you can see the officer's report for the previous proposal.
Was it the same applicant?
I presume so, but I don't actually have that to hand.
Just wondered.
One of the key issues for the previous refusal was parking. A three-bedroom dwelling in this location is expected to provide 3 on-site parking spaces, including 1 visitor space. The proposal includes only 2 spaces, and these are provided within a covered carport. So this proposal is for 2 one-bedroom homes, and the requirements for parking are the same as for a 3-bedroom. So you still need 3 on-site parking spaces. So that's one of the key issues in respect to this application. You can see the site layout there. On the left-hand side, you can see the block of garages. It's not very clear, but you can see the long building just to the north of the towpath there, of the footpath. And you can see the 2 units that are proposed on that site plan. Here you can see existing and proposed elevations. So you can see the two units are kind of, yeah, you can see them there. One of the key issues obviously was relating to the previous proposal, which was a 1-bedroom property, which in the officer report, the reason for refusal of that application in 2016 was its increased scale, bulk, massing and site coverage, appearing congested with the site out of keeping with the spacious character of surrounding development. In conclusion, it's considered that the proposed development, due to scale, bulk and massing and proximity to the eastern boundary, will be overbearing and oppressive and create harmful overshadowing. So you can see a comparison of the elevations to the neighbouring on the neighbouring property side there, the previous one at the top and the current proposal at the bottom there. So that's the second issue in terms of overbearing and kind of amenity for neighbours. You can see some site photos that we took on a site visit recently. Obviously, these proposed properties are right on the cycle path on Rodden Meadow, and that access that goes up to Rodden Road is a public footpath, but is also still used obviously for those garages, so cars come down there. One of the key issues around parking would be that if there's no parking provided in this current application, so one of the key issues would be people with cars parking up on Rodden Road and the issues around parking there. There's also potential issues around people still coming down to park, and potential issues of safety with the cycle and footpath there.
Have you got the plan?
The layout of the actual.
Yeah.
I haven't. No.
That's good enough. Yeah, that's fine.
Is that right?
So what their suggestion is, so you come down from Rodden Road, which is basically on that plan. You come down from the northeast as such. Come down. You've got the 2 houses. Then there's the cycle path and footpath, and then they're suggesting that there's a parking spot the other side of that footpath. What's that car doing? Oh, that's the other garage, is it?
That car is noted on there because there is a garage on that side of the footpath, but there is no suggestion in this application that any parking would be provided with the site.
So nothing to do with it, right? Okay.
But that area where the car is does belong to the same owners.
Yeah. Do,
The garage that was occupied by squatters last year. That belongs to this developer.
The one on the riverside of the,
Yeah.
was it?
Oh, okay.
yeah. Are the 5 garages actually used to store cars currently? 'Cause it's a question of, are we
There weren't
losing
any cars in there.
now?
Well, one of the garages was open, was completely empty. The others were closed up, so we couldn't tell.
My memory of the site is that these are just a complete eyesore on the river footpath, and to create 2 small dwellings, which we're so badly in need of in Frome, is a much better use of the space than having that ramshackle load of tat.
The proposed house is too small anyway.
So those, in the Mendip local plan, they don't specify minimum size standards for dwellings. That there is a generally accepted size standard, and I believe that these fall below those size standards. I guess it is up to the buyer to decide whether or not they feel they're big enough. But I agree with Andy. I think, you know, they are an eyesore. But that I think that this is only my view. I think there is a place for perhaps for some housing there. But the scale of them, the impact, that they will be very overbearing, particularly to the house that you can, on the left-hand side, you can just see at the top of the footpath coming down. And then to the right-hand side of where the garages currently are, there's a garden to a different property. And the height, can you just move on to the elevation one? No, not that one. Keep going. Oh no, sorry. The current proposal at the bottom, that in my view would be very overbearing on the garden of the adjoining property. And
So is the garden to the left of the image that we're...
it would actually be in front of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the garden comes down alongside those.
What's the bit about the allotments?
Yeah, so there is a, where is it? This location plan here, you can see, mouse climb, not working. Yeah, you see this area here, which is about 5 or 6 doors down. I'm not sure if those 2 properties are in the same, if the property above it is in the same ownership, but this is in the same ownership, and they're suggesting that it would be provided for an allotment.
remote gardens to these?
So they wouldn't have gardens, is that what it means?
Yeah.
They've got a small courtyard area at the front with each one.
I think it's also worth noting in some of the documents they've referred to the fact they didn't believe that any parking was required because of its proximity to the town and local amenities, and therefore making the assumption that you'd walk into town for those amenities. That is an argument that we have accepted often before, but I would say more centrally to the town centre. But again, you know, it is up to the purchaser to decide whether or not that's something they're happy with, but should stress that it cannot be conditioned that they cannot have a car. And the likelihood is that further parking will take place on Rodden Road, and obviously you will be losing 4 existing parking spaces. So this is a tricky one. It's a judgment between providing much needed accommodation versus the potential impact of increased parking and the impact it will have on the amenity of the adjoining properties.
Okay, thanks. I had a few Queries on this one. The size, I sort of saw what the Civic Society wrote about the size, and that makes a lot of sense as well. I'm really concerned that it could set a precedent for the whole of that. They're very long gardens, aren't they, on Rodden Road at that side, at that edge, and we could see a flurry of applications for similar development at some point. So that would really concern me. How were they proposing to deal with refuse? I didn't pick that up. Are the residents expected to take the refuse up to the top of the lane? It's not really going to work either, is it?
That was a thing, a question that was raised by one person, I think, who commented. I think in general, they're not so far away from the road that they can't get a hose down there.
You definitely wouldn't be able to, well, I mean, the refuse van just wouldn't get down there, and I don't think they would agree to anyway. So yeah, you're right. They would have.
They'd have to reverse all the way back up, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And that was my other thing, is that they're so close to the cycle path that if you were to drive down to unload, I can see them turning around using the cycle path and the walkway and where the other garage is. Either that or they've got to reverse all the way back up. And they're not going to do that. They're going to use that side. So there is a massive, to me, there's a huge conflict between the footpath and the cycle path and a car potentially trying to turn around there.
That's a really good question. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I don't think I'd want to drive down there and reverse into the garage or have to reverse back out again. And the proximity of the cycle path is, I mean, the garage does already, to a degree, block visibility of anybody coming down the path and seeing a bike coming along. Given the height, that's going to increase that lack of visibility.
Cars were smaller when those garages were built.
I don't know, to me, it's just too many. I'd
Yeah,
love to approve it. To me, there's just too many things which
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about, I have to admit.
And I wouldn't like it to become a precedent that that side of the river gets built up.
So I'm going to object on the premise of, I think it's overbearing.
Too small.
It is too small. I think there is a conflict with the footpath and the cycle path. And yeah, I mean, it's, whichever way you slice and dice it, it will create extra parking. And that will be on Rodden Road, and Rodden Road is already a tricky road to navigate. Not that I mean, that would be the last thing, but those are the reasons. I mean, over to you guys. I mean, that's my view. Steve wants one.
Just regarding waste collection as well, you can see on the elevations they're showing there is just on the right-hand side of each unit, there's bin store provision.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a waste collector going down there to actually get them. And at the top of that lane, there's no space.
So they're going to have to,
for an area to
yeah.
dedicate
So
to.
they'd have to take them to the top of the lane and then put them outside someone else's house.
Yeah. Well, the waste collection does come round in a little transit van as well now, because they come to us in a much smaller van for easy access. But even so, there's just too many negatives to outweigh the positive. So I'd go with you, Steve.
Okay, so I'll propose that.
Second.
And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Jane.
Okay, item number 813, number 30, Castle Street. This is an application for the replacement of all the existing windows on the property. However, the key ones here are the front windows, which are sliding sash, and the proposal is to replace them with side hung casements, as well as replacing the back ones, which are already side hung casements, with slightly different side hung casements. So you can see there the drawings that are provided for the existing and proposed. On the left-hand side there, sliding sash windows, 3 relatively small windows on the right-hand side, slightly different and kind of difficult to see, but side hung casements. Civic Society have commented that these properties, when they were built, I think around about the 90s, they were specifically planning permission, and they were specifically designed with those sliding sash windows to be in keeping with the character of the area, and their comment is they object to the changing of those windows, basically. Yeah.
Mark, Lindsay, you live around it.
I really don't see a problem with this. It's
Great.
one of the Civic Society objections was it's opposite the Grade 2 listed Lamb and Fountain. As you say, it's a house that was built in the late 80s, early 90s, and there's very little architectural merit to it, I would have thought. It's the place with a blue car parked in the forecourt. Yeah, so I really don't see what the objection is. It's not a pastiche of the vernacular. It's a like-for-like replace. The windows look slightly different, but presumably there's a good reason to replace them. So I don't have an issue.
I completely agree.
Any thought? Sort of with Mark, really. I mean,
No, I completely agree. I mean, when I walk down Castle Street, I don't look at the second floor windows, looking at the much more interesting stuff around there. So,
Yeah, and as Mark said, it's a modern house.
do what he wants
Yeah,
with it.
it's a modern house, and also presumably it's for is they're drafty, the windows, or need replacing. Yeah.
Will the conservation officer look at this one? I mean, yeah, okay.
Can we support it?
If you want.
Is there a reason given why they want to replace them?
Not as far as I'm aware. I didn't notice any rationale for actually doing the works on the application.
If they need replacing, it's going to be cheaper to do them with.
I guess they are wooden, aren't they? Wooden sash windows. Yeah, they're built in 1990s. They probably need replacing. I just think no objection, subject to conservation officer. Yeah, go with that. Yeah, I think everyone.
Okay, that's unanimous, thank you.
Okay, item number 814, number 8, Somerset Road. Replacement of existing extension roof to the rear of the property with resin slate tile profiles and an integrated roof window, and also the installation of a new double and single window to the Whitewell Road elevation. That's to the extension and the main house. You can see this is on the corner of Whitewell and Somerset Road. The extension you can see sticking out there to the rear. Here's an image here showing the roof in question, which would have a roof light installed and have their clay pan tiles replaced with slate. The existing side elevation of the main house has that small window there, and the proposal is as seen on these elevations here. Yeah, it's a Yeah, it's a resin slate, so it's not.
I'd take that to be a sort of engineered slate rather than a freshly hewn slab.
Yeah, exactly.
What's on the roof of the main building?
Let's see if we've got it on the picture. I imagine it's clay pantiles as well along there. Can't actually see it from that image. I think it would be unusual for those ones to be slate.
Yeah.
So the difference is going to look grey, slate tiles.
Which is probably what it was built with, I would guess.
There was a comment about it being potentially a former malt house.
Yeah, the Civic Society commented that it was a former malt house. I don't think they objected necessarily to the use of slate. I think there's possibly precedent for that. They did recommend some alternatives, yeah. Where's that?
Yeah, they're suggesting that the new window, which is the new window? Owen?
The new window is, well, there's one new window on one slightly larger replacement window on the main house. So you can see on the left-hand side of the extension there, there's a small window.
Yeah.
That's a new one. And the right-hand side, that's replacing a smaller one.
Right.
And the Civic Society commented, I believe, that
The square
all
one,
the other
yeah.
windows are kind of oblong in shape, but this
Yeah.
one is square, basically. No, I can get on the street view if you want me to.
So that's the photo of that, isn't it, effectively? So that bit there's going to be the extension, isn't it, the long thin bit? That's where they're putting the window.
It looks like the main property is set back from
the road,
that brick
yeah.
wall, doesn't it?
Yeah, it juts out. I didn't actually realise that initially.
So changing that existing
Yeah.
window is going to have minimal impact on the.
They're just making it bigger, aren't they? Yeah. Go to the next one, Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It faces into the garden, doesn't it?
No, it faces the
road.
road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I can see where the Civic Society are coming from. I'm just trying to think, does it? Sorry? I just really can't see it's going to make a massive difference.
Yes, it is conservation area.
I too can see what the Civic Society mean. It does look quite odd in the corner there, but at the end of the day, I'm presuming it's to bring extra light into a habitable room, and I think it's the kind of detail that we would hope that the conservation officer would pick up on. If it's really having that much of an impact, they will say so.
That's my thing. Yeah.
I guess that's a kitchen or something at the moment. It's going to turn it into a more of a living room.
Yeah.
They want extra light in there or something like that. Yeah.
I'd pass it over to the conservation officer, to be honest. I don't feel qualified to
No.
judge.
So no objection, subject to conservation officer.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's get a drink. Excuse me, everybody. Carry on.
Number 816, land at 104 Ash Tree Road, erection of a attached two-bedroom dwelling, so a whole new bedroom dwelling on the side of an existing with associated parking. You can see in the right-hand image there the property here where my cursor is. The proposed building would be on the side of that, with that gable-ended roof hipped onto it, basically. So, yeah, you can see there existing elevation, the existing property at the top on the left-hand side, and the proposed additional dwelling are attached onto the side of it. And you can see the proposed site plan there. Fairly standard layout for that sort of property. Note the parking provision at the rear, which will require a dropped curb. And yeah. Oh, that's the next one. Yeah. So 816. What else have I got? The design and access statement argues, it's arguably true that there are similar examples of redevelopment in that area. However, I think the Civic Society noted that it brings the property right up to the footpath there. And so, yeah. That one. Which one?
It's here, yeah.
And similar things like this have been done already in this area, have they?
Yeah, if you have a look around that area, there's a few examples.
Where they've just built up to the
Where they've
road.
infilled space like that.
Can I ask, is it attached to an existing building?
Yeah.
It's their building which they're attaching a two-bedroom property to like an extra part of the house?
Yeah.
You go back to the drawing.
Which will then be for sale or for their own use?
For them, it'd be two separate buildings.
Right, so it could be like a granny sort of annex, but
They stand standalone, isn't it?
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it may be that they will own it, or it may be that they'll sell it.
Are there any windows in that side that's going to be up against the footpath?
I don't believe so.
The blind gable facing the road
Yeah.
is disappointingly empty and a missed opportunity, so presumably it's
Right, yeah.
it's a blind gable.
What is the parking provision then? I see the Civic Society have picked up on that. They had parking provision around the back, didn't they?
You go down Ash Tree Road, there's a lot of parking down the car park at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think some of them have allocated spaces there.
Yeah, so a little way along the road, in the direction that my mouse is going here, there's a row of parking, one of which belongs to the existing property here, I believe. And they're suggesting that this new property will have a new space in here somewhere.
They showed that on the layout plan, didn't they?
Yeah, that's shown on the layout here.
Oh, right, so it will have its own dedicated space,
Yeah,
just the one,
yes,
one space. It's a two-bedroom, isn't it?
2-bedroom.
It's difficult to come up with any really solid reason.
Well, if it's
For
been done
refusal.
before in the area, then it's been done before. It's got car parking space.
Yeah.
I see that it's coming up to the footpath and potentially, it's a bit of overdevelopment. But again, if it's been done before and been allowed, then it's going to be allowed, isn't it, at the end of the day?
I can't see any basis to object.
Not really. No. Whether we like it or not, it's irrelevant to a certain extent, isn't it? I can't really see any reason to object. And
Well, and there's no other residents particularly being impacted. A footpath is a footpath, and that's not being impacted.
I do agree with the Civil Society that having a window, even if it's a higher window in that end wall, would make sense. But apart from that, I have no real objection. Very fine. Lindsay, you happy?
Do you want to go with no objection? However, we would prefer to see a window in the
Very good idea, Jane.
end elevation. Yep. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 818, 52 Robbins Lane. This is a change of use for part of an existing dwelling. It's called an annex. It is basically it looks like an extension to that building, to a self-contained residential unit, including installation of fire door and replacement of 2 sash windows with like-for-like timber sash windows. Externally, it appears to be a kind of minimal material change to the window, to the building, notwithstanding any anomalies in the windows. I think there's been some comment from the Civic Society on that.
Yeah, I think Councillor Dunk picked it up as well, didn't he?
The property is not in a conservation area, but it is on the Somerset Local Heritage List by a noted 19th century architect. And there is a question over whether they are creating a new residential unit with its own curtilage, or whether it is a self-contained annex. If it was the former, then it would need a different kind of application, I think.
Yeah, so it was me that got into a bit of a muddle. I think it's the description that they've used, referring to it as a self-contained residential unit with annex in brackets. So an annex is usually, not always, joined to the host, the main dwelling, and shares the residential boundary of the main house. So shares the garden, where the parking is, etc. Self-contained residential unit would have its own individual residential curtilage, in which you would expect to see some outside space, potentially parking. The impact that it will actually have on this dwelling is, in either case, would probably be the same. But if it's a self-contained unit, it can be sold separately from the main unit. If it's an annex, we normally ask for a condition to say that it cannot be sold or let separately. So I think it's just a little bit of clarity around what they are actually applying for is needed.
Yeah, and if it's a completely self-contained unit that they're selling separately, it's another bit of council tax.
Yes.
What does Somerset Local Heritage List know? What does that mean?
So basically, that means they're not listed, is locally listed. So Somerset Local Heritage List is, it's not enforceable in terms of planning, but it is a list locally maintained of heritage assets that sometimes are outside of conservation areas and won't be actually listed.
Is it the council or people like Civic Society?
The council hold the list. Anybody can nominate a building to go on the local list. Essentially, the majority of listed buildings in the town were listed many, many years ago, and there hasn't been since then another sweep, if you like, to see if any more need to be listed. So this local list enables local groups such as the Civic Society, ourselves, to nominate properties to go on the local list. I think, if you like, it's a stepping stone. If at any point in the future they do another round of listings, these would then automatically, go forward for listing. I'm assuming that's how it would work. So they're not quite listed, but they have been recorded for their architectural impact, what they bring to the street scene, the local area, etc., but not quite listed.
But this particular application isn't doing anything substantial to the exterior of the building as far as I can see.
It isn't, no. If they want to split it into two separate residential units, you could argue that that would impact on how the building is used, but visually it won't look very much different.
Yeah.
Like they've done most of the work already anyway. I think if we ask the conservation officer for an opinion on the windows, I don't really object to it.
But the windows are like for like anyway, aren't they, Mark, I think?
Well, I think the Civic Society and Councillor McDunk suggested that what they're proposing aren't like for like.
Okay,
Pretty sure.
right, so
I think if we
worth checking that.
Yeah. So one of the things the Civic Society said is that it should be referred to the conservation officer, even though it's not in the conservation area. I think that makes sense to me. Yeah, I think I agree with them on that. And the like-for-like issue. That. What he said. Do you follow that? Yeah, okay with that, is he? Yeah. I still don't understand why whether it's listed or not, but.
It's not listed.
And this local heritage list doesn't afford it any protection that a listed building would.
It doesn't offer the protection that being a listed building would. I suppose it is more similar to it be the protection that being in a conservation area offers it. But what it is, it has been noted for its important architectural style, impact, etc.
But as Andy said, they're not actually changing.
I think there's some photos that were submitted as part of the design and access statement that shows work that has already been done, and some of those windows do appear to have very thick window surrounds, and they don't necessarily look like for like replacements.
So let's question that.
If we suggested, or the Civic Society suggested, that a house should go on a local list, is there any sort of process or vetting or application process for it, or is it just go on a list because we say it's lovely?
No, anybody can nominate a property to go on the list, and then it goes before a board of elected people that may be members from the Civic Society, not necessarily from Civic Society, but from local civic societies, and anybody that, I believe it was Mendip who instigated it at the time, felt could input into whether or not, what's special about this house, why should it be on the list, should it be on the list? So it isn't just a case of, I want to put that property on the list. It does go through it is vetted, yeah. Can I just check what our recommendation is? So we have,
Yeah, ask the conservation officer to take a look at this one with particular reference to the windows.
so we've no objection to the creation of an annex.
Yep.
It's already there.
The building is
Yeah,
is
with
there.
Yeah.
no objection to the segregation of the annex.
Yes, yeah. However, some issues have been raised, or concern has been raised over the like-for-like windows. Would request that the conservation officer looks at this in more detail.
So, sorry, I'm just getting confused with this whole annex thing now. They couldn't sell that annex as it is. Unless it gets changed of use. With this change of use.
That's what I'm not sure about, because they've referred to it as an annex and a self-contained residential unit, and the two are, and that's two different things. Yeah. So we want clarity on what they're actually applying for.
An annex next to the main house, to me, is... Yeah, it's a granny flat, isn't it, or whatever you want to call it. But if they're gonna rent it out, or do this with a view to selling that off as a one-bedroom
It would need its,
apartment,
it would need its own residential curtilage, yes, which is not being shown. So it's shown as being within the residential curtilage of the main house, because that's what the red line, the red line goes around it. But they've also included a blue line to indicate that they, which you normally only do if you're identifying land within the applicant's ownership as well.
so can we clarify?
Yes, yeah, I've probably just confused everybody more than necessary, but I think it is quite important.
No, it's important, yeah. So you've got reasons, if you could put something, read the annex, Jane, down.
Yeah, I'll put something, yeah. So in principle, we're not objecting. There are two issues we'd like clarity on. One is the status of it. Will it be an annex or will it be a self-contained residential unit? And can you please check that the windows are like-for-like replacement?
And we would like the conservation of it.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, that's unanimous, thank you.
Got there in the end.
Good.
Tricky one, isn't it?
Number 820, so this is Curtainwood on Clink Road. Existing bungalow, raising the ridge to create a first floor extension and a side stroke rear single story extension. So there's quite a lot going on with this one. So you can see the existing elevations at the top there. Not a roof. And the proposed at the bottom, as you can see, yeah. First floor extension, covered by a roof there. I've forgotten the type of roof that they call that. Here you got some images of the existing situation.
Which one is it?
It's the big one in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, if you could imagine that
Roof there, isn't it?
the roof being lifted up and kind of, it's more of a single unit rather than it being sort of lots of bits and bobs at different levels.
Are they actually raising that roof at all? Is that going up?
Yeah,
It is going up.
up.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
I did actually mark on, yeah, so it's been increased, the roof ridge line is 1.14 metres.
Big block at the back, isn't it? Yeah. How does that face?
Have I got another slide here? No, that's the next one.
So hang on, so, right, so which way is that looking?
So,
Existing northeast elevation.
northeast elevation is
Proposed
looking.
So where's the northeast elevation on your photo?
I think that's to the right of that one. If you're, hold on. Northeast elevation. Yeah. So the bottom left photo, which is showing from the front of the property,
Yeah.
on the right-hand side of that,
That's the
that's the
northeast.
northeast elevation. Yeah. I mean, it's very similar on the other side.
It's all set well back from the main road, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, I was just
very few people are actually going to see it, but yeah.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, there's no additional windows to the sides.
No, but they,
There are skylights on there, you can see. So in terms of overlooking, so
it's
we're
not
not,
actually going up by a lot, is it?
yeah, nearer in a bit.
4 foot in old money.
Yeah, so I mean, it will be slightly more visible to the rear of those properties to the right and left as you look at it on the right hand, the picture on the
Yeah.
right hand side there. But there's a lot of screening there with
There's a lot of
trees.
screening, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, it's any objections?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think there were. Yeah,
Okay.
because I remember being.
I don't think I have any objections.
No one else says?
No. Go for it.
Someone propose that for me?
Yeah, no objection.
Well, that's unanimous.
Interesting.
Okay, item number 821. This is the development at Little Keyford Lane.
See this every week.
This time it's the
doing now?
construction of a temporary access to serve the scheme as consented under the original application.
On Fireway soon.
So, where are we? 821. Highways have been consulted and Highways have requested further details.
Excellent.
So,
Defer the subject to highways. Yeah. Agree. Yeah. This is all about the visual display. Yeah, in all seriousness, I think, Jane, can we do that? Are we allowed to do, have we got time to do that?
Yeah, I mean, if Highways have requested further details, in theory, once those further details have been received, we should be reconsulted anyway. So I think, I mean, it's very difficult. If Highways are asking for more information, then clearly they've got concerns about something. So I don't think we can make an informed comment without seeing the comments from Highways. Yeah.
So, do we have to vote to defer?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
item number 822. This is Castle Street again. This is an application that's been before us before, and this particular application is an application to vary condition 2, which is the plans list. So it's a variation on the layout and on the elevations of this proposal. Okay, so quite a lot to go through on this one. So you can see the proposed, the original application on the left-hand side there, the 3D model, which was subsequently revised to bring down the height of the ridge, following comments, including from us that and the Civic Society that would be it would be overbearing as it was. So the application was subsequently revised, and so you can see the present application on the right-hand side here, which is a significant change in terms of the elevation. It's not a significant height increase overall, but obviously you can see that the gable-fronted aspects of that property, apart from the one on the right-hand side, have been omitted, and now we have a single hipped roof extending to the left-hand side. Previous application was also integrated the wall at the front there. Now it's been set back away from that for reasons of cost and practicalities probably. So yeah, that's that one again. Okay, yeah. So that's the original again, and this is a comparison. I did a funky animation there.
Yeah, again, that was good. I heard
Good,
that. So what's the bit that's been consented, the dotted line?
Yes, the dotted line, as you can see it on there,
Yeah.
is what's been allowed. The
Just go back to the previous one.
yeah, so that's how.
That's how it is, and the dotted line is the consented.
No, on this one here, the dotted line is before it was revised. So we revised it to bring it down.
Right.
Okay, and on this one, the dotted line is that revised height. But now, obviously, this is a new application.
So it's even worse than the first one. And it looks like they're also planning to knock down that stone wall and rebuild it, which is not the point of trying to keep a stone wall that looks nice. I object.
Fair enough. The Civic Society have made a lot of comments. I won't read them all out. Compared with the consented design, the proposed building has been extended towards the northeastern site boundary, significantly increasing the bulk beyond the consented scheme to a two-storey building that will be overbearing and overshadow the small garden of 50 Castle Street. An upper storey window is proposed to directly face the gable window of number 50. The presented design presented three dissimilar gables to Castle Street, raking up the volume and descending the hill from the land of Fountain. The revised elevation presents an extended two-storey block of timber boarding, which would be unsympathetic and detrimental to the setting of the listed building and number 50, as well as a wider views throughout the conservation area. Extensive use of timber is excessive. Conservation area is characterised by stone buildings with occasional rendered elevations. To be only 48 stands out, I think. Yeah, you sort of have to agree with them, don't you? Yeah.
My suggestion was going to be that actually, that, you know, they have put together a comprehensive response which covers everything that we've already put in our notes. So perhaps to reiterate and support the Civic Society's comments.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Lindsay?
Only just, I think Castle Street is a historic area, isn't it? And the Civic Society, with my experience, I go to their judgment.
I think, you know, given its proximity right next to the Lamb Fountain, which, you know, whatever you think of the Lamb Fountain, it is a fabulous old building, and whatever goes next to it, I think will make a real difference. And given that it's such a narrow street, having such an overbearing elevation it's just going to change the whole feel of the area.
I remember we looked at this several times when it came up first, didn't we? Yeah.
Has this made any improvement to getting cars in that?
I said, yeah, because they had a Mini, didn't they? Do you remember?
That's a tiny car.
Yeah, tiny car, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I think that was addressed in the subsequent revision after those comments, and it is on some of the other drawings. It specifically
Shows Mini. Did show Mini.
yeah.
I remembered that from the previous one.
So I think basically they opened out that entrance bit basically, so that it would be easier for them.
Go to one of the pictures. There's a car actually shown on it.
Yeah, the CGI one, isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
On that one.
Yeah, the one on the left was the original application, so that's why that was a problem, because it was very difficult to get out. The subsequent application to that, which you can't see as well on the right-hand side, I don't know, it's different basically. You can see they've got rid of one of the pillars, and they opened out that access.
So why has it been redrawn?
Why are they coming back?
Why are they coming back to make a smaller building and save money, or?
Yeah, as cost and technical issues with what they were proposing, integrating it with the wall and the roof design basically was more not as economic.
On what grounds? Basically, as per Civic Society. Yeah.
And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, and that is all of our items for this evening.
Ah, wow, we got through that pretty quick, didn't we? Wow, there's a lot there. Thanks, Owen. Brilliant. Well done.
Just before you wrap up, 819 on your list is the erection of a carport. And based on what we've been hearing from our friends at Wessex Water recently, I wonder whether we should just comment that it'd be good to do some rainwater capture on his carport.
I think that's a
Good idea.
sensible suggestion, yeah. So
No objections,
no objection, however, we would like to see some rainwater capture included.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Go with that. Excellent.
And that's unanimous, thank you. And can you vote on those that weren't raised for discussion?
Go with the
Yeah, propose that.
Yeah,
And that's unanimous as well. Thank you.
great, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Next planning meeting is on the 11th of December, and look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Good night.